Inventories, Part 7. We're going to do two examples, one showing rising prices and one showing declining prices. So here's our rising prices example. We purchased 100 at $4. Our second purchase was 400 at $5, and our third purchase was 500 at $7.60. And those are some pretty quick price increases. We sold 600. So your first job here is to calculate how many units you sold. We purchased 100 plus 400 plus 500 for a total goods available of 1,000. If we sold 600, then ending inventory is 400. Now let's calculate cost of goods sold and dollars in ending inventory using our three methods. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to extend the cost. 100 times 4 is 400. 400 times 5 is 2,000. 500 times $7.60 is 3,800. Each of these are cost layers. Goods available, 1,000 units at $6,200. And we can just use this right away and say average cost is $6.20. 6,200 divided by 1,000. But let's start out with FIFO. We're going to calculate cost of goods sold first. So we're going to use the oldest cost layer first. I'm not going to show you that math, but you can do it. So we want to sell 600, so we're going to take 100 at 4 or $400, 400 at 5 or $2,000, and 100 at $7.60 or $760. This will add up to 3,160, and the remainder is 3,040. And it's important to remember, no matter what cost method we use, the cost of goods sold plus the ending inventory has to equal the cost of the goods available for sale, which was $6,200. Average cost, you're going to take $6.20 times the 600 that we sold. You're going to take $6.20, our average unit cost, times $400 to get $2,480. And let's go back to our chart. For LIFO, we're going to say we sold 600, so we're going to take the most recent cost layer first, 500 times $7.60, or $3,800, plus 100 units at the previous cost layer times 5, or $500. Add those 3,800 plus 500 and you're going to get cost of goods sold of 4,300. And the remainder is ending inventory. So let's look at this for a minute. Here we have cost of goods sold in times of increasing prices. Cost of goods sold using FIFO is the lowest when costs are going up. This makes sense. First in, first out means we were using the oldest costs, and in this case they were the lower costs because when prices are increasing, cost of goods sold using FIFO is using the oldest lower costs. The opposite is true for LIFO. When you value cost of goods sold using LIFO, you get the highest cost, $4,300. That's because you're using the most current costs, which are the most highest costs in times of inflation, in times when prices are going up. And of course, average costs will be in the middle. Now the opposite is true for the balance sheet. With FIFO, when prices are increasing, the cost will be higher. $3,040 is higher than $1,900. And of course, average cost will be right in the middle. Now, whatever you're doing to cost of goods sold, if you're using lower costs, the FIFO method, then net income will be higher. If you're using LIFO and you have higher costs, net income will be lower. Let's take a different example, decreasing prices. I'm going to use my same 1,000 units, but I'm going to use different costs. I'm going to start out in February at $7 a unit. May it went down to $6, and in November the cost went down to $5. We sold 600, so we know that ending inventory was 400. We take the goods available of 1,000 minus the sales is ending inventory. So let's value cost of goods sold and ending inventory using our three methods. Now I'm going to go back to our chart here and say our total costs add up this time to $5,600 because this is a different problem. This is a different situation. Therefore, for the 1,000 units available for sale, the unit average cost was $5.60. So when we do average cost, we're going to take that unit average cost of $5.60 and we're going to multiply it by 600 to get cost of goods sold for average. For ending inventory, we're going to take that same unit cost times the units still in inventory. So for average cost, we get cost of goods sold $3,360 and ending inventory of $2,240. Now let's go back and do FIFO. First in, first out. So we're going to use the older cost first, which in times of deflation, when costs are going down, the older cost is going to be the higher cost. So when costs are going down, if you use FIFO, cost of goods sold will be higher. When costs are going down using LIFO, cost of goods sold will be lower. So higher and lower. So you really don't try to memorize the impact. Just do the math over here and then talk to it. Look at the situation and say costs are going down. Cost of goods sold is higher using FIFO. You're using the older costs, which in this case are higher. For LIFO, you're using the current costs, which in this case are lower. Opposite is true for the balance sheet. Using FIFO, you're using the current lower costs. Using LIFO, you're using the older higher costs. And then whatever is happening with cost of goods sold, when cost of goods sold are higher, we know net income will be lower compared to LIFO. When cost of goods sold is lower using LIFO, net income will be higher. It's all relative. All right, no matter whether costs are rising or whether costs are going down, ending inventory is more current with FIFO and cost of goods sold is more current with LIFO. In other words, when you look at the balance sheet and you see inventory, the cost in there is representative of replacement value. When you're using LIFO and you look at the income statement and you see cost of goods sold, it's more representative of what replacement value is. So advantages and disadvantages to both methods. COGS is older, less accurate with FIFO. Ending inventory is older, less accurate with LIFO. So during times of inflation, when costs are going up, and if you decide to use LIFO, income taxes will be lower because cost of goods sold will be higher. Many companies have selected LIFO. Why? Because in times of rising prices, which is often what is the situation, it will result in the lowest income taxes. The important thing to know here is be consistent. You simply cannot switch back from LIFO to FIFO at will. You have to pick a method and stick with it. However, you are allowed to change occasionally, but you have to disclose it. Probably one of the most common reasons to change is because one company is taken over by another company, and the first company was using LIFO and the second company is using FIFO, and they say you got to use our method now. But the important thing is you have to disclose it in a note in the financial statements. This ends our videos on inventories. Our next videos will cover the topic internal control and fraud.